Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me on this Motorcycle Monday, a very special Memorial Day Motorcycle Monday to honor those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. In case you don't know who I am, my name's Dawn and I work here at Caprara Harley-Davidson. Even though I was never in the military, I've been closely connected to it ever since I was little. I grew up an Air Force brat, then I was an Army wife, and now I'm a Marine Corps mom. Of course, our dealership is no different, being so close to Fort Drum. Both Jeff and Victor are veterans as well as technicians. The village of Sackets Harbor is just a little ways from the shop. It is home to the Sackets Six, the six friends who came together and invested in a New York horse named Funnyside, who won the Kentucky Derby and Preakness in 2003. But long before that, it was the site of a major U.S. Navy shipyard and its headquarters for the Great Lakes. That's because local woodlands provided ample timber, and the large fleet was constructed at the harbor's extensive shipyard. Barracks were also built for the thousands of soldiers, sailors, and mechanics. The Army constructed earthworks, forts, barracks, and supporting infrastructure to defend the village and Navy shipyard, and its troops also camped in the village. The thousands of military personnel made it seem like a city. When war broke out between Britain and the United States, both sides began building up their naval forces on the Great Lakes. The lakes were vital highways for troops and supplies in the wilderness of the Old Northwest, so a naval arms race quickly overtook the region. Sackets Harbor was the site of two battles during the War of 1812. In the first battle, the brig USS Oneida and the shore batteries repulsed an attacking force of 5 British ships. The village became a major base of operations for both the Navy, including U.S. Marine Corps, and Army for the duration of the war. The American forces on Lake Ontario tried to break a stalemate by attacking a British shipyard at the small town of York, now Toronto. But so many of the American ships and soldiers left to attack the British, they left Sackets vulnerable. When the British heard the news, they seized the chance to strike. General Sir George Provost, Governor-General of Canada, personally took command of the raiding party. He hastily assembled a half a dozen ships, 900 British and Canadian soldiers, and a small party of Native American warriors at Kingston, the main British base on Lake Ontario. Provost's troops made landfall on Horse Island, which sits about a mile west of the town. Militiamen from Albany were waiting for them, but could not inflict enough casualties to stop the landing party. The growing number of British and Canadian infantrymen forced the New Yorkers to fall back across the causeway connecting Horse Island to the mainland, and after mustering their forces, the British followed them across. Fortunately for the Americans, contrary winds prevented most of the British squadron from joining the fight. Without their heavy guns to weaken the American defenses, Provost's outnumbered forces were unable to move the American regulars along most of the town's defenses. General Brown was able to rally the militiamen, and their added numbers allowed the Americans to flank the British forces. Fearing that his retreat would be cut off, Provost called off the attack and ordered his men back to the boats. In the Second Battle of Sackets Harbor in May 1813, British forces landed and attacked the village, but they were again driven off. The end of the war came in 1815, and after that the military recognized the continued importance of Sackets Harbor's strategic location. During World War I, the base was used primarily as a hospital post, and in World War II as a training post. In 2019, the moving wall, a half-sized replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C., was in Sackets for a time. After graduating from West Point and serving in the Mexican-American War, Ulysses S. Grant served 2 tours of duty at Madison Barracks in Sackets Harbor as a junior Army officer before going on to serve in the Civil War and then becoming our 18th president. And it was after our Civil War that Memorial Day began. That war had claimed so many lives that it also brought about national cemeteries, and originally the holiday honored only those lost while fighting in the Civil War. But during World War I, the United States found itself embroiled in another major conflict, and the holiday evolved to commemorate all American military personnel who died in all wars. Now many people see this 3-day weekend as an unofficial start to summer, a break from work or school, or, this year, a reason to get out of the house after being on pause. However, on Memorial Day, let's remember to honor those who so bravely gave their lives, the ultimate sacrifice. To include the meaning of memorial as you celebrate this day, our rights and freedoms are precious gifts that should not be taken for granted. One way is by teaching the next generation what Memorial Day stands for. Share with them the history and explain why we are able to enjoy so many wonderful things. It's because of those who sacrificed. A serious message, but one that can be easily shared. Another way to honor the memory of fallen soldiers is to take care of our veterans. Consider a contribution or a donation of your time to one of the many wonderful nonprofits that support veterans and their families. You can also participate in the National Moment of Remembrance at 3 p.m. for a moment of silence to remember and honor those who had died in service to the nation. Together we must recognize, respect, and pay tribute to our American heroes, teach our children the importance and the meaning of Memorial Day, and encourage our children to be respectful and knowledgeable of our country's history. Thank you for honoring and helping to preserve the memory of those who have served by celebrating the true reason for Memorial Day.